Hey folks, welcome to another edition of the Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio Show. A show that brings you all the fishing all the time. Well, maybe not all the time, but definitely some great guests. And I just want to review some of the guests that we've had in the past. Gord Pizer, Jim Sarek, Charles Wise, Keith Davison, Mike Parker, Jonathan Taylor, Ashley Ray, just great guests on the show. If I've missed anyone, I apologize. You are all great guests, and thank you, each and every one of you, for being a part of this podcast that I do weekly. I appreciate it, and if it weren't for you, me, and all the fans and listeners out there, this show wouldn't exist. But it also has to pay the bills. So I'm going to turn it over now to my producers to run the commercial spot, and we'll be back. Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by AnglersChoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Muskie Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish Envy Guide Service, and Husky Muskie Leaders. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. Well, as we all know, iCast kicked off in Las Vegas. If any of you listeners out there are familiar with iCast, it is the largest fishing trade show in the world. Everybody and anything can happen at iCast. And I was fortunate enough to get in on some of the waves that have been happening at iCast. And I got to tell you, Canada is going for it again. Grant Copper's Live Target Baits unveil a brand new crankbait for this year called the Threadfin Bait Ball. This thing is phenomenal. You can check it out on Ben McQuinney Outdoors. I've put a little picture up there. Now, the cool thing about this bait is that it mimics a small school of fish. And another thing that's happening at iCast, Lake Master and Humminbird has combined forces to allow you to map your own rivers, lakes, reservoirs, ponds, whatever. If you're on water and you have the system and the program in place, you can now get your own hydrographic information of that body of water. It is absolutely phenomenal, revolutionizing the fish industry yet again, Lake Master and Humminbird. And speaking of Humminbird, they've also come out with a new 360 imaging trolling motor for the bow mount trolling motors. And it's a quick plug and play into your 1198 unit, and you're off to the races. So if you can mount a bow mount trolling motor to your boat, your existing boat, that, my friends, is the trolling motor I would suggest you get. There's nothing better than knowing what's ahead 150 feet and getting 360 degrees of structure and fish interaction around you. So Humminbird is definitely taking a stand this year, revolutionizing the imaging programs and whatnot this year. Lake Master and their new trolling motor. So hats off to them for sure. Some of the other things that have been going on is the rods and reels that are being launched. Penn comes to mind, another great offshore reel that's been introduced. There's Okuma. Like, just, it's a phenomenal show. So, folks, if you have a chance to get out there to Las Vegas next year, July, get out there. It is just a sight to be seen. But I'm going to turn it over now to Heather, the Fish Widow.
Hey, you're listening to Heather, the Fish Widow. And just a little tip for you guys to spend a little bit more time out on the water. I'm not too sure how many women don't like to get a certificate for a manicure and a pedicure. I know I do. And if you drive around your city, I'm sure you can find a nail spa that will give you a gift certificate. I know in my city you can get a manicure and a pedicure for $40. Good deal. And you can probably guarantee yourself 3 hours. So you can get your boat in the water and get some fishing in that time and treat your lady and make her happy and get yourself out on the water. Maybe after that you can prepare a nice fish dinner because she's not going to be able to get her hands wet in the dishwater or preparing anything because she's not going to want to mess with her nails. So there's a little tip for you. And thanks for listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoors Radio, and stay tuned for some more good tips on how to get out on the water by Heather the Fish Widow.
Hey folks, if you like what you hear on Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio, be sure to drop us a line at benmcwhinney@yahoo.com. Alright, welcome back, and we have a question from one of our listeners. Jonathan wants to know, what's the difference between muskie and pike? Well, Jonathan, the difference between muskie and pike are, if you want to go into genomes and whatnot, they're part of the same family. They're esox. However, to tell the difference physically, you need to look at their markings. So one of the best ways to decipher these things is look at the colorings. A muskie has dark markings on a light background, whereas northern pike has light markings on a dark background. Examine the fins. Northern pike has rounded fins, while muskie has more pointed fins. And the scales on the cheek. Now, muskie has prominent scales on the upper half of the cheek, or the gill covering, and northern pike has scales that cover the entire cheek and upper half of the gill plate. And also count the pores on the underside of the jaw. A muskie has 6 to 9 sensory pores on each side of the lower jaw, whereas the northern pike has fewer than 6. So those are some of the ways to tell the difference between muskie and pike. The other way is to log on to www.muskiescanada.ca, and there's some great information there. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for that question. And hopefully we can pick up another question here on our 10th show, live chat. We got one from Rod. He wants to know, how big was the one that got away? Well, it's to be determined. I could tell you when I was up at Lake St. Clair this past couple weekends, a long weekend in fact, the one that got away, he was big. He was probably pushing up towards 50 inches. So, Rod, it's all fun and games till someone loses a fish. Yeah. So, but thank you very much for that question, and we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back after these messages. Cooper's away this week fishing, but he'll be back next week, so stay tuned for more of The Rant with Cooper Gallant, right here on Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio. All right, folks, welcome back. I get really excited this time of year. iCast, they started out Monday, and they're going to wrap it all up Friday. But just want to get back to Live Target, Canadian company. The lineup for the new bait ball series for Copper's Live Target baits is the 2 3/8 inch square bill crankbait in 4 different patterns, a 3.5 inch to 4.5 inch jerk bait in 4 patterns. There's also going to be a 2.5 inch mid-depth crankbait, 10 foot, about the 10 foot mark in 4 patterns, a 2.5 inch to 3 inch glass minnow popper in 4 patterns, a 4.25 and a 4 3/4 inch glass minnow jerkbait in 4 patterns. So he definitely came out both guns blazing at iCast, and hats off to you, Grant Coppers. Another astounding show of force at iCast this year, and just great Canadian innovation once again. Now, any of you out there aren't familiar or are familiar with this new bait that's coming out on the market next year, basically how it works is they've designed it on the way that bass forage on minnows. So if you just think about the way a bass tracks their prey, they kind of break up a bit off, like break some of them off from the pack and chase them down and just engulf them. So I really like the crankbaits that I've seen so far, especially the 3-in-1 kind of crankbait. I think I have that one up on my Ben McQuinney Outdoors. You can take a look at it there. But definitely one of those crankbaits series that you'll want to have in your pocket, no doubt. Shimano, Jackal, Ray Marine, Duo, Sunline, everybody came to play. It's all the major manufacturers out there that make up the fishing industry as we know it. iCast 2013. Folks, if you have an opportunity to go there and check it out, definitely go to Las Vegas and see what the ruckus is about. Just trying to see if there's any more questions out there. Well, we got a couple more questions here. One from Sue. She wants to know what fish is prevalent in Haystack Bay, Lake of Bays near Huntsville. Well, there's a handy little tool, Sue, on the computer, and it's called Fish Online, and it's put together by the Ministry of Natural Resources. And if you go to the website, you can go and read the disclaimer there and click agree, and it gives you a kind of like a Google map, and then it'll show you all these little fish icons, and you can zoom in and find out all kinds of information. So into Lake of Bays, I noticed that if you click on the little fish icon, it'll come up with Lake of Bays, and it'll give you a whole bunch of information. The maximum depth is 70 feet. Average depth is 22, and the fish that are primarily found in lake bays is largemouth bass, northern pike, smallmouth bass, lake trout, burbot, yellow perch, rainbow smelt, rainbow trout, white sucker, rock bass, and brown bullhead. So the other cool thing about Fish Online is that if you fish lake bays and you want to get some information out there to help the ministry with this program, you can actually give your own survey of fishing there. And you can get directions of, say, from Waterloo to Lake of Bays, that sort of thing. You can print the map, and you can also get the lake depth contours. So you can actually get hydrographic information all on this program called Fish Online. So I hope that answers your question, Sue. That was a great question. And I think the other question she added to it was, why do the fish nip at her toes? Maybe they're dirty. I'm not sure. There's various fish that live in the waters that are cleaning fish. I'm not sure which ones are nipping at your toes, but maybe your toes are tasty or dirty, and they're just trying to clean them, or just get a taste of toe jam or something like that. Moving on. Amanda would like to know, when is the best time, location, and lure used to fish for bass? Do you fish close to shore, out in the middle of the lake? What pound of line is the best to use? And have I ever used fish bomb? Not familiar, Amanda, with the term fish bomb. But I can tell you that any time is a good time to fish for bass, whether it be in the middle of the lake or on shore. I've caught several bass in both scenarios. Typically, there are windows of opportunity for all fish. I like to use my stomach as a guide. If I'm hungry in the morning, fish are typically hungry. If I'm kind of lazy in the afternoon, fish are typically lazy in the afternoon. And of course, when the supper bell is ringing around 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, that again is also a good time to fish. Pound test line capacity for bass varies. It depends on the style of fishing that you're wanting to get into. If you're going to get into some heavy cover, timbers, stuff like that, flipping and pitching jigs, you want a beefy rod, medium heavy to heavy action with a fast tip, nothing less than 20-pound braided line, and it can go up from there. I know some guys that are into the obscure 50 to 80-pound test line on a heavy to extra heavy rod. Lures can vary. The thing is about bass is they're in the water column. They're either at the bottom, they're in the middle, or they're near the top. On a really hot sunny day, you can coax a bass out of some cover with the top water, such as a popper or a frog. On, say, a drift, you can hit him at a mid-depth running a suspending bait. And other presentations are Texas rig worms, and tubes work especially well. So weather plays a big part of it too when fishing for bass. So just keep that in mind. But great question, and thank you very much, Amanda. I hope that helps. And And we also have a question from Doug. Doug wants to know, what is the best bait for pickerel in clear water midsummer conditions? That all depends on how you're fishing for them. If you're trolling on a drift, I like to think that walleye are they're schooling fish, and they typically would like to eat real food. So minnows or minnow imitations, if you're going to fish crankbaits or artificials, things like that. Husky jerks. Clear water, it depends on the depth too. So those are some of the other things that you can keep in mind. Worm harnesses are great as well. I just was talking to Gordon, and he was divulging all his big walleye tactics, and that's in another podcast. You can check that out. It's up on Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio. I believe the title is Chasing Gold. So, Doug, if you need some more tips on walleye, you should find some there with my conversation with Gord Pizer. But great question, and thank you very much, Doug. And we're going to take another commercial break, but we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back. I just want to reiterate on Amanda's question about fishing for bass. Smallmouth or largemouth, either or. There's three kinds of presentations that you have to keep in mind. Slow, fast, and in the middle somewhere. So what I like to do is I like to have three kinds of spread boxes, if you will, set up. One with things like Carolina rig or Texas rig worms, tubes, stuff that are on the bottom. Then in the mid-depth, things like spinnerbaits, suspending crankbaits, and then your upper water column, which is top water. You got your frogs, your poppers, other things. In and amongst there is your jig and pig for flipping into heavy cover. It's just so inundated with so many techniques. It's just unbelievable. I live, breathe, and think about bass fishing more than I care to admit, and it's just, I try to wrap my head around it all, and there's just so much. But if you can remember to get at least 3 presentations for 3 areas of your water column, bottom, middle, top, you'll be doing okay. So that's all the time we have, though. It's been great sharing this 10th episode with all of you, and thank you very much for all the questions that came in. And I'm going to keep on trying to get as many updates for the iCast as possible. So keep watching Ben McQuinney Outdoor on the Facebook. And if you'd like to hear something or want to be a guest on the radio show, have a story to tell, drop me a line at Ben McQuinney Outdoors at yahoo.com. And that'll be all. It's been great, and I'd just like to wish all of you a great weekend, and get out there and wet a line. Good night. Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by AnglersChoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Muskie Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish NV Guide Service, and Husky Muskie Leaders. You're listening to Ben McQuinney Outdoor Radio.